Welcome to Not the Woods. I'm in the studio today. It's pouring with rain. I had to come and feed the snake that was there, do bits of paperwork. And I thought while I was there, we'll have a chat. I wanted to talk about the Great Reset and how that's looking, and how things could be similar and yet completely different. And I was talking to someone the other day about how I live. For those of you that don't know, I'm off grid. I bought some land, I built a cabin. It's powered by solar, batteries and whatever, rainwater collection. Last year we had a good bash at trying to grow food. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. But the aim is to be as self-sufficient as possible. And I want to compare that to what I'm doing, and could it be done on a much bigger scale? So when I'm talking about self-sufficiency, let's just talk about self-sufficiency in food. So it would be possible for me to grow crops, vegetables, fruit. I've already got chickens, so I'm okay for eggs. I could have pigs. Now, if I had more land, I could have pigs, I could have sheep, I could have cows. And it would be completely possible for one person to be utterly self-sufficient for food and milk and cheese and eggs, crops, vegetables, the lot. And I can see that that wouldn't be such a big step from what I'm actually doing. I'm also self-sufficient in energy. So I don't pay electricity bills and I don't pay water bills. I do still pay for gas. I've got LPG canisters, but I've been looking into a biodigester wherein you can create your own gas as well. So that would leave me fairly bill free. No bills. Which would be good. But could a country do that? Well, if you look at the UK, in the 1980s, we were about 80% self-sufficient for food. Now, self-sufficiency isn't security, insofar as with me last year I tried to grow sweet corn and it sprouted and it started to grow and it was looking brilliant, and then the dogs ate the lot of it. So if I'd been unable to get sweet corn anywhere else, being self-sufficient wasn't enough, it wasn't very secure. But as it is, I can go to Morrison's and I can pick up some corn. And it's much the same with the country. We could have quite easily, from the 1980s until now, pushed forward with innovation, technology, and been 100% self-sufficient for food. Even with a population that's growing, although it should be declining, the indigenous people of these islands, the birth rate is below replacement level. So what we should have is an older population and less young people. Not ideal, but in the short term, not necessarily a major problem either. What we've got, because of the financial system we're working within, is massive import of foreign labour in order to make sure the system continues. But even with that massive increase in population, we could have quite easily been self-sufficient in food. We're not. Again, because of the system we're working within, with free open markets, our self-sufficiency has declined from 80% in the 1980s down to about between 50 and 60% today, which is a ludicrous scenario. Could a country opt out of the current system? Well, I can't see why it couldn't. If you look at what I've done, I've actually opted out of the system that's in operation today. I didn't much like it. I saw it for what it was and did something different, built a new system for me. But I still need to interact with it, just not as much. But there are things I can't do. I can't make a vehicle. So if I need to get a vehicle, I need to buy it. And if I need to buy it, I need to make money. So I still have to interact with this system. And I can do that. Just because I live a completely different life outside of the norm doesn't preclude me from using that system or being able to get things from that system. And I think a country would be much the same. If the UK stepped out of the current financial system, was self-sufficient in food, and everything else it needed as well. For an example, there's no reason why we have to be beholden to large pharmaceutical companies for the drugs they produce. We're quite capable of producing them ourselves at the cost of pennies. We don't need to continue with a debt-based financial system. We could start our own. Now, would that preclude us from participating with the existing system? Well, there's two schools of thought. I mean, one school is that yes, they would crack down on that utterly because they wouldn't want anybody else to see that it was possible. And the other school of thought is that no, they would still trade. If we wanted to buy something, we could buy it. And if we wanted to sell stuff, we could still sell it. So it'd be interesting to see which way you think that would go. But when we're looking at possibilities, it would be possible. Especially for a small nation of ingenious people that was self-sufficient in food, could look after itself. We could step out of the system that's currently in place to something that was better. Once you're self-sufficient, you can suddenly start doing things at very little cost. If you grow your own crops, you're not going to sell them to yourself. So your food is suddenly free. Where I am, I can't grow everything because it's in the woods and it's quite shady. But a neighbour across the way's got a small field, which isn't. So we can grow more crops there. And I'll be helping him do that. Now, I'm not going to charge him for my labour, and he won't be charging me for the produce. Again, no money involved there. And I'm interested in looking at the idea of how we could extrapolate that out to a whole country, so that food production could feed everybody here, and that the other things we need, especially when you look at something like the fourth industrial revolution, which is going to happen anyway, is going to eradicate up to 60-70% of employment. Now, we can either use that for our own benefit, for the benefit of the people, and for the benefit of the nation, or we can let people like Klaus Schwab, Boris Johnson, Keir Starmer, do it for the good of them and their pocket. I think people need to understand more today than ever that government doesn't care about you at all. It's not doing anything for the good of you. And as much as the majority of people out here think they're doing okay, we could be doing 100% better. Anyway, just a ramble, just some ideas. I'll speak to you soon.